Salad or Dolly, threw a great party. We all drank Bacardi, it got kinda gnarly. We're light as a feather, we're tougher than leather. Together we're weirder together.
Beautiful babies.
Beautiful babies.
Weirder Together podcast.
Weirder Together.
Bentley.
Ione Sky.
All right. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Welcome to our house.
Yes.
Where we do things a little differently.
Yes.
And how you doing?
I'm good.
What's on your mind today?
I'm excited. I'm making friends left, right, and center. I got invited to go to a soak house, a bath house. In LA, they have them like Olympic Spa and, Beverly.
Hot Springs.
Beverly Hot Springs. And what's the one? We Spa.
Yeah.
So I'm learning. I liked last time I had a real one-on-one with an old friend who had just lost a parent, and we went to a spa and talked really quietly, or else you get yelled at. And it was a nice way to catch up. So anyway, I'm going to meet this friend.
New friend?
New old friend, right? But the question these days is, how much do you shave your vagina?
When you're going into sort of a public setting in this way.
Sure, because it's there's once that started becoming popular, that whole thing, which is oh my God.
You mean shaving and lasering?
Yeah, can we
all
just
that?
go back to just, there's choice, you can do it or not?
Well, everything I see on TikTok says things have gone back to full bush appreciation.
Oh, okay, because it's kind of weirdly embarrassing, if you were fully shaved, seeing his friend for the first time.
Right, because there's too much of an anatomy reveal.
Yeah. And usually, but then if you're covering, you can do a towel, and then it's cute. My mom just went to one of those with my niece, and she's 80. So she was I just was in the towel, then I threw the towel off.
But this is a great thing. I feel generationally, this is the kind of thing daughters and mothers should be able to seek counsel about how much shaving to do before the spa.
No, my mom is not worrying about shaving, but she was just thinking about a body. But it was nice for her because she was you go to a Korean spa, and it's people are all shapes and sizes, all ages. And she was I actually felt pretty good about my body going there, because you see all types. I'm so curious what you see in the men's part of the Korean spa.
You just see, peni, all kinds. But are you picking an approach, or are you gonna just rock up au natural, whatever you're working with, or are you gonna do a little basic prep?
I'm
Are you going to call in the glam squad?
No, I'm just going to be just basic. And then, I'm never really shy about being naked on top. And after a while, it's just you're all women together and stuff like that.
Now, speaking of women all together and bush appreciation, the world has been rocked this Pride Month by a series of defections from the lesbian team. High-profile defections started with JoJo Siwa.
Yeah.
Then sapphic pop star Fletcher releases a single called Boy, which is about coming out of the closet, saying she actually made out with a guy. Yesterday, pap shots come out of Billie Eilish making out with her boyfriend. As an ally and some might say lesbian icon myself, I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. I feel the team needs solidarity. Also, genuinely, it's very weird timing with Pride Month and, when gay rights are under attack in America and everything. But, what do you feel about this?
Yeah, I think there's I felt when I started dating a man again a little I was letting a kind of community down, but people can do what they want, But yeah, the timing of it being Pride Month, I suppose, is it always, it's always sad when I see someone being straight again. And I find it weirdly sad when I see a heavy or actor or comedian get really skinny. But that's also in both cases, people should do what they want to do. So
you're not essentially troubled by this straight rebrand trend. You don't think it's
the timing with the Pride Month is not great.
Yeah. It reminds me of it's when hipsters started going right wing.
Oh,
it's almost reactionary.
Yeah,
it's the most radical thing you could do is become conservative.
Or when I go normcore and
when you got a Subaru.
No, that's hip. No, more it was the Toyota.
The Camry.
Camry or something.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting how these things they move, they shift en masse. Like it starts feeling like all these pop stars are, I don't know.
Maybe it's just like interesting all of a sudden to do something different. Or it's about, like sometimes people think that women are having a hard time with men, so that's why they're like, I'm just going to date a woman now, right. Which is like, sure, there might be that group, but of course there's people who are just gay. But maybe, I don't know if it works the other way, where you're like just annoyed at your last relationship, so you're like, I don't know.
Well,
but Billie Eilish is bisexual, so it's
that's true. Look, just so people realize I'm not speaking without credibility. I'm on record as being the only guy that both Tegan and Sarah have ever shared a crush on.
Oh, that's so lucky.
So in that capacity as a lesbian icon, I do want to make a statement and say I am not going to abandon being an admirer of women.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I don't care how many of these pop stars start shifting teams. I'm going to keep being a woman lover.
Well, or woman on woman lover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, you do remind me of the one guy in our L Word crew. I forgot his name now. But he was the one straight guy that just hung out with all the lesbians.
Privileged position. Underrated. I feel like in the scheme of like the way people analyze male power dynamics, where there's like the alphas, the betas, the gay friends, all that. The straight male friend in the lesbian friend group is, I don't know, to me you're winning.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound good. So Lil Wayne has put out a record that seems to be like dividing the hip hop and music fans all over the internet. The first song is so good that it kind of gives you this illusion that you're going down this amazing journey, but his fans are hating it.
Really?
And it's like, it's been kind of like, it's been wild.
I haven't given it a whirl.
It's really good. I mean, he's such a like intriguing figure. Even when he's like not on point, he's just fascinating.
Yeah, people want to take care of him. The women want to take care of him.
Well, he has that heartbreaking quality. I remember when Ben Folds played him for me for the first time. This would have been in like, I don't know, 2007 or something. That was the first time I heard him. And Folds was like, listen to this guy's voice. Doesn't it sound like he's going to die young? And I think what he was just saying was like you could feel this. It was like John Lennon, like you could feel the suffering and the sort of trauma.
And all that scissorp he was drinking.
You could feel the scissorp. That's true.
But maybe he's not doing that anymore.
Do you remember that video you made for Margaret Cho? My Lil Wayne?
Yes, I do.
That's a beautiful song.
I still have some marbles rolling around in my head. I do remember. It was great. Well, it was after there was like a sort of documentary or a short form documentary about Lil Wayne, and he was very sensitive in it. And I think, and everyone was feeling for him. And anyway, Margaret Cho is so cool. And she did a song called My Lil Wayne. And it's like she's great at the funny, tender song, which I guess is a thing. I feel like some comedian singers can do funny tender, but she's really good at it.
Absolutely. And we were both quite moved by his Rolling Stone interview that came out earlier in the year when he talked about his disappointment in not getting the Super Bowl halftime show, and it went to Kendrick because he's from New Orleans. And the way he expressed it was just so, he said, the NFL toyed with his emotions, which I was just like,
yeah.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we love Lil Wayne. Look.
He's fine.
The Carter 6, if it doesn't happen, I believe in the Carter 7. I'm staying on the train.
Yeah. Let's go for the next chapter.
Go for the next chapter.
Or get into this one. I don't know.
So we had a really fun night the other night. We went out with Byron Spencer's back in town and his friend Sophie, who's a flower designer who we met for the first time. And we went to Gio's new restaurant, the Fratelli Paradiso team who have 10 William Street and Fratelli Paradiso. There's now Paradise in Potts Point, and it's like a little wine bar sitting on the corner of, what is it? It's like the corner of Ward and Roslyn. And it's like such a good vibe.
I know. It really is. I think part of it is the angle of the buildings. Like in Naples or Napoli, as you would say. The buildings are like on corners or rounded, and there's something about it's got a European feng shui of the buildings, the way they are all kind of facing each other. And anytime you can kind of cross over those streets and go from one.
Yeah, it feels like it's that like it feels like you're in a community
like
and you're
a
people
village.
watching.
Yeah, and you can bop around. And Byron Spencer's a bit of a mayor of Sydney, and now he's taking Paris by storm.
And the gin martinis were fantastic,
and we got
the
some
veggie plates were. It was all amazing.
Yeah.
So good. Chicken liver, something I have not eaten since probably like a Shabbat dinner as a child at my grandmother's house. Not something I dip into, but I gave it a shot there, and it tasted good.
Yeah, there was like a plum sauce on it. It was really good. I remember our friend kid had eczema, and she would feed him liver when he was like an infant, and his dad was cooking it, and he was like, ugh. He had to make it for him one day, his son, and he was like, this is disgusting, but it's good for him.
Did you watch any of that Liver King documentary on Netflix?
No.
It's this guy it was basically this massive scam. It was this guy who was really jacked, and the premise was he was selling supplements that's all about eating liver, but it turns out he was also indulging in a fair bit of steroids.
Right.
And that might have been the more active component of him
I'm curious
up.
I don't want you to take steroids, but if you've been working out like so much, your clothes are not fitting you and you're bulking up. But if you took some steroids, I'm curious.
Yeah, but I'm surely there's an app that can show me.
But you get kind of like angry, and I don't want
I
you
would
to
lose my temper. But the thing about being in your I'm going to be 47 this year. The thing about being in your mid to late 40s is the amount of working out you have to do just to be normal it's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's a lot to just look kind of, normal or naturally good. It takes a lot.
Now, I wanted to chat to you. It's been a big week in podcasting with Marc.Maron officially announcing he's wrapping up WTF Pod, which is like, in a way, it's the podcast that started the whole modern era of podcasting. He's made a lot of money. He's interviewed everyone there is to interview, and he's closing up shop. And it made me think about like, wow, what is the end game? Like, what are we shooting for by podding? How do you know when you've won?
Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like anyone who's doing anything in the entertainment, musicians, comedians, it's all about the pink and green at the end of the day.
Wait, what's the pink and green?
The pussy and the money.
Ah, of course. Yes. You feel like Marc has he's gotten all the pink and green that he needs, and he's ready to. Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I think I do.
I love the hand gesture you were doing also while you did. This was a real gangster kind of vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you started to pick up girls, really.
What do you mean?
Musician. Being a musician.
For sure. Yeah.
But Marc.Maron, I was thinking about when he first started, he was really working on, he had just like stopped doing drugs and stuff, and he was really working on his bitterness, not working on it. He wasn't working on it. And I kind of loved the early days of Marc.Maron when he was like just so kind of openly and vulnerably like upset that other people had done better than him. He was just like very bitter.
I think that's sort of why he started the pod, to try and figure out why he wasn't more successful.
Yeah, it's a bit Howard Stern a little bit was like that too. And then he kind of got happy and just was being successful and slick. And I sort of stopped listening. Like some podcasts, like they're genius and brilliant, but they're such high level that I almost miss the vulnerable, like, I don't know, even Smartless. It's like they're so good that it's almost like too slick. You know what I mean?
Right. So he's vacating the throne for us, essentially.
Yeah. And I was a little, because I'm sort of oldish friends with him, and I was sad that I never got to be on it, but that's okay. I mean, I fantasized about being on his podcast.
It's almost become like one of those things like being on Johnny Carson or something.
Yeah.
Like it's become sort of one of those.
I mean, I was on Howard Stern.
True.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Because the last time I saw him was at Sarah Silverman's party, and then Chris Fleming was with me, and I was chatting with Marc.Maron, and then Marc.Maron walked away, and Chris Fleming said, well, that happened. So I guess he was a fan of Marc's.
Yeah. There's a speaking of podcasting megastars, there's a very interesting, so there's this doco coming out later in the week about Alex Cooper, Call Her Daddy, right? Who so far has, I'd say like she's had like this sort of mass success, but you don't meet many like, I don't want to be condescending to her audience, but she's not revered amongst the intelligentsia. You know, she's not thought of as like this brilliant
NPR,
interviewer. Yeah, I mean, she's
Terry
like,
Gross.
yeah, no, she's not there. But so this doco is coming out, and I think everyone's assuming it's going to be a sort of puff piece because she's at that point of her career where she's just so successful. But check out this TikTok that I found last night. It's from Jess Cale.
I love lime.
Well,
I've just got in from watching Call Her Alex at the premiere at Tribeca Film Festival tonight in New York. Oh my days, feathers will be ruffled when this comes out on Tuesday. Shocked at how personal this documentary is in terms of what she endured and went through at Boston University. Feathers will absolutely be ruffled, and Boston University need to be shaking in their little tiny boots for when this comes out on Tuesday. A real turning point for Alex Cooper in her career. I give her full credit for being so open and vulnerable in this documentary.
Isn't that interesting? So actually I sent that to Lauren Meisner, friend of the pod, because she, you know, obviously keeps an eye on all this internet content. She was like, OMG, I need to see this. It sounds so much more intense than I expected. I thought it was going to be surface. And I was saying this is like actually the point that Alex Cooper is in her career, for her to ascend to the Oprah, Bono level of celebrity, which is kind of, I feel like what she's shooting for. Her career needs to be injected with a degree of like pathos, groundedness, you know what I mean? Because she's such a winner.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this is like an amazing, if this is what this woman suggests, it actually is the perfect, I mean, I hate to be, it's about trauma, but strategically, in terms of this being the moment to reveal a depth to her,
Yeah.
it's actually, I think, what she needs to kind of keep moving forward in the public eye.
Fascinating.
Kind of interesting,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Now, we do need to talk about our personal Super Bowl.
What is that?
Our personal Super Bowl happened this week.
What?
Riki Lindhome appearing on Juicy Scoop.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's like everyone else was watching the, you know, Trump Elon Musk tweets. We were like, to actually have a crossover between sort of our kind of social group and like the alternative comedy world and Juicy Scoop, our favorite guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Big moment for us.
I know. Really big moment. Yeah. Riki's amazing comedian, married to Fred Armisen. And
was in Garfunkel and Oates and Another Period.
She has
Very
a great
funny.
musical that's in development that's Ali Wong and
Bill Hader
are producing. And anyway, and she had this whole journey with having a kid, a surrogate.
Yeah, fertility journey, and the musical's about that.
Yeah.
And how do we describe Heather McDonald to people who don't know who that is?
Well, she's great because she goes through all the gossip, all the reality shows and all the gossip and stuff in Hollywood and the entertainment business. But she's kind of like gets words wrong but she's completely just has that star quality where you listen to every word. And
she's like your eccentric aunt at the tennis club who wants to gossip about everything, makes mistakes
wrong
about all of it, but also drops occasional gems.
Yeah,
that
and
are
she's
meaningful.
a comedian, so
Yeah.
she's quite funny. She used to work at Chelsea Handler. She's a writer. And
But it is really like, it is pure corn syrup.
Yeah.
Like it is like, it's something you listen to knowing that it's bad for you.
Well, yeah, or good when you need a break from the horrible world.
That's true. That is a really positive way to look at it.
But yeah, she's really loves, she also loves it. That's partly why I think she loves it. And I
just
think
gossip culture and pop culture.
and she's interested. And I think that's important to have somebody who, like when I paint, it's like I have to love what I'm painting and that will translate.
Yeah, and Riki being on this, it's kind of, I guess it's fun because I guess those
Well,
in
it's
those
like
ways.
highbrow, lowbrow together.
Yeah, it's sort of like when things from like the underground, quote unquote, make it into like subvert these sort of very mainstream. It's like when James Franco did General Hospital.
Right. And Riki did a shout out to our friend
Di,
who is such a funny friend of mine. I have to tell you, beautiful babies, about it. Like, we had a pod, as you called it, in lockdown where our kids...
Not a podcast, a social pod.
Social pod at the time when everybody was like, you know, not seeing one another. And I didn't know her that well. And we ended up having the best time and also lots of fighting. It was intense. Like Di and I are very spicy, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And we would just get into it and have like fights. And then I was like, you would sort of get on the phone with her. And then I'd be like, you can't talk to another woman for that many minutes on the phone. And like, it just, everyone was, I mean, I truly lost my mind at that period of time. But Diane is like the best cook. She's a best friend.
And the context she's brought up in this podcast is that she's the person giving Riki advice on pursuing Fred while they were shooting Wednesday in Romania. And
Exactly.
the way Ricky's like, I called my craziest friend. We both looked at each other and were like, Diane.
Because she's so fun. And I'd be so mad at her and think like, I'd be like, Ben, I don't know. We can't. This is just the fighting and all. And it's so silly. You wouldn't even believe what the fights were probably about our daughters.
Well, we were also just stressed in the pandemic.
Stressed, and we got like dance mommy about our kids. Like they did a video of each other and her daughter didn't like the hair. And then it was like Goldie did that on purpose, all this drama. So silly. But then we would miss each other so much because she's so fun.
But the way we gathered around the phone for this Riki on Juicy Scoop episode was much like how I imagine our grandparents when War of the Worlds was on the radio. We were clinging to every word of this podcast.
I know. We do have a lot in common of what we love, you and I.
Now, I do have to reflect on, if we're talking about Heather McDonald and Juicy Scoop, when we were gearing up to your book coming out.
Yeah.
And we were making a list. A wish list of pods you might want to be on, publications you might want to, go on to promote it. It was basically a universe of yeses. Everybody wanted to talk to you about Say Everything because it's an amazing book and you're fascinating. So brief recap. You did How Long Gone, The Ion Pack, New York Times, Los Angeles Times, Drew Barrymore Show, Tom Sharpling. I mean, everything. You did everything. Now, I just thought maybe you could open your DMs and look at the pitch that you gave to Heather about wanting to be on Juicy Scoop and read that out for the beautiful babies.
Okay.
Read us your response and then what she said.
Okay.
Your pitch and then what she said.
Hi, Heather. Big fan of your pod. Wonder if I can send you an advanced PDF copy of Say Everything. Very juicy. If you like it, I'd love to come on your pod and chat about it. Let me know an email to send it.
Great pitch. How did she respond?
Nada, nothing, crickets.
She left you on red?
Left me on red, on blank. Left me on red.
Yeah.
Not even blank.
Yeah.
But,
wasn't to be.
Also, yeah, I mean, that was my only personal reach out, I think, because mostly it was like done through.
Yeah, I did a lot of them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
and the publicists.
Yeah, we were all.
Oh no, we did. We
we
did
did a
some.
bunch,
Wait,
yeah.
who? Like no, like how long?
Like Abby.
Oh yeah.
Will, How Long Gone,
yeah.
To Know Me. Yeah. I mean, you got to it's so interesting.
It was a combo of reach outs and then through the publicists.
Yeah, and it's a different business now. Like I think anyone who's promoting their stuff has to learn to be a self-promoter too, which is so different.
But like it's not it's not really up her alley, the book in a certain way.
But wait, would you have thought Ricky's story was up her alley? I think Riki was on it just because Natasha Leggero, who's friends with both, recommended her or something.
Yeah, there was a friend in common, but maybe, yeah. But I do think the fertility journey is sort of more of a, I don't know. I guess it could go either way. She likes like the Mormon wives and like, yeah, just so much. And all the, I don't know, all this stuff of murders and I don't know, reality.
So let me ask you this.
Is
the door still open to Heather McDonald if she wants Ione Skye on Juicy Scoop?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
That's nice. No sour grapes.
No, because it's sort of like not, like I was a little more Actually, Marc.Maron I wasn't hurt by because at this point, in this point of his career, he had, after Barack Obama, it was just like, the A+ stars or very good friends or very specific interests. So it could go either way. In the early days, I mean, a little bit because I know him sort of personally, you get a little hurt.
Yeah.
But the only time I got really hurt, and Howard Stern I'd already been on.
Yes.
And at this point, Howard Stern really gets
It's just
Paul
and Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl, Paul McCartney.
Miley Cyrus.
And I've already been on Howard Stern. But when Steve
Jonesy from the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, who was like such a good friend at one point, had a radio show or something, and I just did a big HBO TV show.
Yeah, it was for camping.
And he was like, well, if you get Juliette Lewis with you. And I was like, okay. Like, anyway, that annoyed me.
So if Steve Jones wanted to have you on now, that sounds like that's a hard no.
A hard no. But I love, of course, Juliette Lewis. That would be a great combo. But I was just sort of like, well, like, I'm not good enough on my own.
Hey, you got to have boundaries. That's like when I wouldn't let Goldie borrow my AirPods this morning because she'd lost hers. She left them in a friend's house. You got to have some dignity.
Yeah.
You can't just flip anytime.
That's
otherwise,
right.
Where does it end?
I just think of the time I sat on his lap at a party and cuddled. I mean, not in a romantic way, but just like so affectionate, and we were so close, and you know what I mean? I'm just like, why was I throwing so much?
It was like you were on the casting couch. It's where's the return on investment?
I was putting too much into him.
Wait, let's talk about karaoke the other night.
Oh my God.
So after Paradise, which everyone should check out, Potts Point, great new wine bar. Afterwards, Byron was like, let's go do karaoke.
Yeah. And you were like, well, we can have like a nightcap at ours. And I'm like, Byron, karaoke? He like sings opera.
Yeah.
So we
went to Sydney karaoke on George Street.
And it was so fun, and just like, it was so packed, the streets. And we went, firstly, everyone was waiting for an elevator for like 20 minutes. And I was like, something's wrong here. We're like packed in a group of people. And then we just found the stairs, and so it all felt like an adventure. And we're like, a couple of people were like, let's just take the stairs. And then we go up, and it's kind of like when you're in Tokyo or certain places, that style of karaoke. And then there was this cool room that looked so much like you're in Asia. And we got these little drinks.
But before we got in there, the security check was the most intense security that I've gone through.
Because Australia,
even more than an airport.
Australia's very chill.
I think they're checking for booze, maybe.
Yeah, or vapes or something.
Yeah.
But it was not scary, but it was like, they were checking. But then it all felt very like organized and disorganized in the perfect way. And then we go into the room, and the first song he does is, what was it?
Oh, he did like a song from Les Miserables.
Yeah.
Which was unbelievable because we were all just still getting situated and flicking through the book, and he's launching into a full 11 o'clock number.
Yeah.
Like
it's
just
it wasn't like starting with like, you're just sort of like, I don't know, Hall & Oates, warming up the thing. He just goes right into this like incredible.
There's no warming up with Byron Spencer. You get 100% all the time.
Yeah, I never do. Like, I'm always nervous I notice like on red carpets or something, they're like, what's your go-to karaoke song? And I'm like, I love singing, but I will not. Because it's like, I'm not good at.
You like the group sing along kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I went all late 90s. I did REM, Nirvana, and Hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
It was really fun.
Byron was so fun.
And then night before last, we went to Kamasi Washington at Carriageworks, which was kind of an amazing night.
Oh my God.
We got there really late. So we got there like
before he went on, but
but it was like 5 minutes before he went on. So the room was packed.
Yeah.
And we were standing at the very back, like behind the bar. I mean, it was like the music was incredible, but it was actually hard to get into because
well, also we were behind sort of a refrigerator in the way back where if if you're getting involved in the drama that you're imagining between the people who are giving people beers at this little bar and opening and closing the refrigerator. And there was also a security guard. This was very interesting. People were coming up. It's like the show is starting. They're ordering beers, whatever. And this one man came up, and the security guard is sort of sitting over this like garbage can or whatever. And he said to the guy, you can't.
You've been cut off. He said
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, he said you've been cut off.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why the
didn't
guy.
you tell me? I was doing a Sherlock. I was like, what was that about? Because I was
Or
like,
you could say you were doing a Ray Donovan.
yes. My mind was like, why did he let everyone get something and not this one guy?
I don't know why they cut the guy off. He was rude or something.
It was weird. And so anyway, if you're like paying attention to the dramas, I was like, I felt like I was working the bar. Like I was like, I'm involved in this.
It was an unfortunate position. And then we were like, we were like 6 songs in. I was like, oh, do you want to go have a drink at the bar at the front? And we go out and get a drink. And this woman comes up. She says, hi, I'm Camilla from Carriageworks. I'm so glad you guys are here. Could I take you to watch from the balcony? And we were like, hell yes. And we then went and watched the rest of the show. It would feel like we were on stage. We were just above it on stage left. And it was unreal.
Yeah, it was so great.
I loved that show so much.
Kamasi Washington.
Yeah, and it was
beautiful.
Like, because I think one of the things that's amazing in that type of show is not just the musicianship and the writing of the artist, but also the band leading and the ability to bring out the best in all the various musicians. And the solos were unreal. And it was so like, it was weird because he did start off with some of the more inaccessible things.
Yeah, the first songs were difficult. The opposite of when we saw Sigur Rós, which was like all very sort of not easy listening, but very just beautiful. There were difficult jazz pieces. The first 3 songs, they were great. But then he went into other songs and then all those solos, and the audience was packed. Everyone's standing. Tons of people, and everyone is so respectful, but it was such a lovely Australian crowd for me because they were like, they're polite, but they were like so into it. We
were talking about that with Sydney audiences, particularly how they're not that wild, but they're amazingly focused and loyal. Like they really show up for the things they love. And that is a really beautiful
I'm sure if you're at a
quality
punk show, people are wild. But apart from that, like, there was a mad appreciation. Maybe also because you are all so far away from other parts of the world that you're just like, yay, I get to see you. It was nice. I felt good also seeing Kamasi is from
LA,
like sort of near Inglewood or Long Beach area. And so I felt like happy because I miss LA,
Also because LA is going through such a crazy patch, particularly the last few days, and watching this amazing musicianship that has come out of LA culture felt very like healing for me personally.
Yeah, they're not riots, but they're reminding me of the riots, which
I believe we call them protests.
I know, but the LA riots is the term, but this was not that.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, let's not get into it. But it was, it was sort of, there's a lot of stuff that's good, like the protesting in LA historically, in California has been really, really poignant and important.
Absolutely. Coming up very soon, I think, is it a week from tomorrow? When is it? Oh, it's in a couple weeks. Okay, I'm doing a gig with Funeral for their record launch. I was going to give it a bit of a plug, but here it is. No, that's not it. Okay, June 27th. I'm DJing. DJ Dad Bod set at the Funeral single launch. So people can come along to that. Tickets are on sale for the Awake is the New Sleep 20th anniversary tour. We're also lining up after parties for Sydney and Melbourne.
Yeah.
The plan is coming together. People can link to that through my site, through our socials or whatever. Nice. And I don't know, anything else you want to add to the beautiful babies before we wrap up?
No, just together. We're weirder together.
Hell yeah. Lots of love. See you later.
Together we're weirder together.